Our project is Java COVID-19 cases tracker system. So we are going to develop an web interface or web application for tracking the cases all over the world of COVID-19. So during this pandemic scenario, we have seen there are huge data analysis part in COVID tracking system. So we are going to create some data visualization, or we can say data set part with some Spring framework, and we are going to find some formal and visible solution for this. So COVID-19 crisis tracker system we are going to build using Java. So this Java project is based on core Java, Java Spring framework, and servlet part. So I'm not going to with core servlet concepts here. I'm using some servlet concepts here. So our full system is based on Java Spring framework. I'm going to teach the Java Spring framework from the scratch. I'm going to explain Java core syntaxes, each and everything. So our project is Java COVID-19 tracker system, and we are going to build some data representation part in our front end using Java framework. I'm using here data set part, default data set part. I'm not creating my own data set here. I'm using data set default on available on internet. You can use such similar data sets also. So this is one of the useful application, or we can say one of the useful data representation application. In current pandemic, we can find all the cases. We can find the append, or we can say ascending list, descending list of each and everything. So this is all about how we are going to develop our project. So let us see what is our project aim first. So our project aim is to develop web application from tracker system of COVID-19 cases. So we are going to develop one web application for this purpose, and we are going to use your Spring framework. So steps of development are 6 basically. First is project setup, how we are going to set up our project. Second is understanding different tools we are going to use here, what is the dependency, cheats, and etc. What are the XML files and all the things here. Some Java basic concepts, Java Spring framework, Java servlet concepts. I'm not going to use core servlet part here. I'm just considering servlet as some syntaxes. Java web interfaces, how the web interfaces are made in Java, Java files, etc. So this is all about how the steps of our development. So our project aim is to develop web application. Application requirements, Java basic knowledge. If you should have some Java basic knowledge regarding the syntaxes, each and etc. I'm not going to explain from the scratch of Java, but I'm going to tell you for some simple cases. Java Spring framework, I'm not going with syntaxes part or depth part of Java Spring, but you should know the Java Spring part. Otherwise, I am going to explain also here. Then Java web development, how the web application developed in Java in regarding to the servlet part, what is the front end, back end, each and everything. Then tools required here is JDK, which is Java Development Kit, JetBrains IDE, which is basically IntelliJ IDEA, which is very useful platform to create such Java applications. I'm going to use here Ultimate Edition, but you can choose Community Edition also. Then Spring Initializer, which is basically web interface to initialize your project. So this is it about how we can go with this. So I'm going to specify the Java basic concepts also here. But before that, you should remember some Java basic syntaxes. I'm just telling you the Java basic concepts here. So Java is made up of 3 parts. Other than other languages like Python or C, there are no parts in their languages. There are just compilers or interpreters which are compiling the higher language to the machine level language, and you are printing the output, or you are developing your project. But Java is made up of 3 parts. First is JVM, which is Java Virtual Machine. Why I'm telling you this? Because JVM is our runtime server, we can say, for this purpose. So we are going to fetch data from one thing available on internet, which is lively updated within 1 day or 2 days. So these are our data sets, and what we are going to do, we are going to load it in the server part, and we are going to represent it using Java Spring framework. So Java Virtual Machine is a not physically existing machine. It is virtual machine. It provides runtime environment in which Java bytecode executed. It also runs programs in other languages but compiled in Java bytecode. So basic thing is it loads code, which is very important in server end part. It verifies the codes, which is basically the compiler error or something, which is detects, executes code and provides the runtime environment. Why I'm telling you the JVM thing is, if you are getting runtime error, no need to check your web application code or etc. You have to check your basic core Java code. So these are the things you are going to use here. So other than this, GRE is Java runtime environment, which is set of tools, libraries, jar files, etc. and Java application programs. It is implementation of JVM. We can say for the implementation purpose, we need backend as a JRE for the JVM. Again, this is physically exist. So these are some libraries, jar files, var files in Java. JDK is Java Development Kit. It contains JRE plus JVM. So JRE plus JVM makes JDK. Also, it contains Java compiler, which is basically compiling purpose, and which is basically you are downloading the JDK only from the website. I'm using here Java JDK 16th version, but the you are downloading that part is basically JDK. So there are SE versions, standard edition versions, enterprise edition versions available on Java. So these are the basic things. So let us see pictorial representation of this. JVM is this, basically the oval shape is JVM, basically virtual machine which loads the bytecode, and all the things are virtual, like all the RAM, all the things are virtual. So it acts as our virtual server for our purposes while creating this application and executing all the codes. Set of libraries, jar files, some other files like documentation, etc. Content makes JRE. JRE contains JVM and all these things. JDK contains some Java files other than these JRE and all the things. Some Java compilers also are there. There are some dependencies in JDK also. So all the things makes JDK, JVM plus JRE and Java compiler. So the downloaded file is basically just JDK and you are installing that part. So if you are not installed JDK, try to download latest JDK, which is 16th version. Also give the path name, each and etc. You can check your path also of your thing, and you can check the Java version also using Java version command in your CMD. So I checked and I'm using 16th version. So this is it, how we are going to do. So I'm going to tell you some Java methods and classes later, but let us see how we can initialize our project first. So let me go to the Chrome, your web browser, any web browser you have to go. Then go to this start.spring.io. So this is basically the Spring initializer, we can say, Spring initializing project. So you can check their documentation, each and etc. So currently they are using 1.5 to 2.0. So this is basically on 2.0 currently. So you can check here Spring Boot versions. This is basically latest version, and these are the snapshots. So these are not the stable versions. You can check this is the stable version 2.5.3. Then Maven project, we are going to use here Maven. So in Java there are 3-4 frameworks already deployed. So other than I'm telling the web application, I'm going with core Java part. Core Java are basically based on 3-4 applications. Popular are 3: Ant, Maven and Gradle. So Ant is basically contains some web apps, servlet, JDBC, JSP files. Also there are Ant based framework also. But Maven is a more advanced part of Ant, which contains Spring, Hibernate, all the things in that part. I will tell you what is Hibernate and JDBC basically. JDBC is basically connecting part. Hibernate, you can initialize the commands database directly in the Java files. No need to extract that part. So these are the Maven things. And Gradle is basically for the mobile app development, etc. So language is our Java. Choose language Java. No need to choose this Kotlin or go with Java. Go with this. Now we are going to mention this COVID. I'm going to mention as COVID tracker. So artifact name is again COVID tracker, like this. Name is this. Then name is COVID-19 cases tracker app. Package name is this. Remember, I'm using Java as 16th version. Click here, 16th version, jar file, and etc. So we need to require add some dependencies also. Click here, add dependencies part. So hope you can see this part, all the things. Let me add web part, which is Spring Web. We need to deploy application using Spring MVC. So beautiful thing of Spring, you never required any server part here. Apache Tomcat is the default embedded container which deploys on the internet and you will get the output. So these are the default server in a Spring Web. Then let me add theme leaf, which is basically Java template engine for the servlet and standalone environments, which is basically theme leaf engine which allows the HTML to correctly deploys on the browser and as a static prototypes if it's a dynamic also Spring Web. And Spring, or we can say check dev. So Spring Boot dev tools, live reload, restart, I need to use that part. So these things I need to require. So Spring Web, theme leaf, and Spring Boot. Other than this, you can add Vadin also for the chatbot and each and etc. So you can check there. I'm not using here any RESTful API because our HTML file will be loaded through the Spring only. So no RESTful API is required here. So Java, Maven, and this keep as it is this and generate. Once you generate this, you can see the file is downloaded, which is basically zip file. And later we are going to open it in our IDE. But before that, proceeding to our project, let us see the Java basic concepts first. So first is Java methods and classes. So everything in a Java is made up of classes and objects. If you have seen Hello World program in Java, again it's a class and method. So while writing any program, printing any output, or if you are making any arithmetic program, you need to require classes and methods. So everything in Java is associated with classes and methods. Without classes and methods, you cannot write any Java program, which is basically purely invalid Java program. For example, in real life, cars are objects. Cars are having some attributes like weight, color. Methods are drive, brake, stop, etc. Open the door are also can be method. So these are the things like in Java. So methods are just a logic behind that part. So classes is like object constructor or blueprint for object. So car is the object. So but we can create one class as a vehicle. Similarly, we can put in that vehicle motorbike also another object, car is an object, truck is another object. So class is basically the object constructor. An object is basically to use that, call the class or use that class or to execute particular class. An object is called as an instance of classes. Without object, we cannot call classes except the class in a similar class or classes subclasses part, or if the classes inherited that part. So the inheritance concepts, without an inheritance concepts, we cannot use classes without any objects. Methods are declared within the classes. It contains the whole code of particular functions. Methods contains return values, access specifiers also. So basically methods are the logical thinking of logical part, we can say logical block of classes. Method contains all the logic of whole process. And object of class is created, we can easily use that methods with the objects with something like object.methods, etc. in the Java, and you can defaultly use that objects and classes and methods. Again, main methods is the default method in Java. If you have seen public static void main string with arguments, which returns always strings, it is main method, which is default method in Java to run any program in Java. So this is the first thing which loads on JVM. So while writing the code, we are going to write some logic in main method only, or we are going to call that logic in the main method only to run the program. So this is it about the Java methods and classes. But what is the Spring thing here? So let us see what is the Spring framework here is. So if you know, in a Python or in any other languages, there are some default frameworks to deploy on a web. As a Python has Django and Flask. Similarly, in Java, in 2003, Spring framework is created, which is basically basic framework in Java. But there are several steps of development be taken, and Spring Framework is now very popular in Java to deploy any web application. Second thing, it's long-term stability, and third thing is it's very easy to use. So there are some advantages of Spring Framework also. I'm going to deal with this. So Spring Framework is lightweight framework, we can say, and it's thought as a framework of frameworks. So there are different frameworks in Java as Struts, Hibernate, TypeScript, EGB, JSF. So these are the some popular frameworks in Java. So Spring Frameworks includes all the frameworks, and that they made some robust framework for that. So no need to require Hibernate or Struts again and again. We can use Spring Framework directly. This is Maven Web MVC framework, which has several modules like IOC, then database injection also there, then dependency injection also there. So these are some default cases. Framework you can set as a structure where we find a solution of various technical problems. So in Spring Framework, we can use database, then Hibernate part, then JSP part, servlet part also you can use. So these are the some default Spring frameworks. So in further videos, I'm going with some steps of development and how we are going to develop our project. So first, initialize your project using Spring Initializer, use that constants and use that IDE.